Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone to the Child Development Podcast, where we focus on the future, our children. They are without a doubt our most precious resource, and investing in their well-being is very paramount. I am thrilled to have with us today in the grand opening of this podcast, Professor Kavwanga Yambayamba. Professor Yambayamba brings a wealth of experience as an expert in human capital development, with over 3 decades, that is 37 years, dedicated to nurturing young minds and unlocking their full potential. As an educationalist, scientist, and researcher, Professor Yambayamba's expertise lays in the fascinating world of animal anatomy and, of course, physiology. Additionally, he has 27 years of leadership experience in various institutions and departments, which have equipped him with invaluable insights into guiding and inspiring others. Welcome to the future. Professor Yambayamba, thank you so very much for joining us today on the Child Development Podcast as you're about to pour your wisdom. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm really glad to be here and to be part of this podcast series.
I'm also looking forward. I'm very excited. I know that there's a lot of wisdom that is going to be poured from your fountain of knowledge, and obviously with your several years of experience in developing human capital. I think it's high time that we begin having such kind of conversations to begin identifying elements which have led us to be so underdeveloped. 60 years of celebrating our independence this year, we are still wallowing in poverty. What could be the missing link? But now to begin the ball rolling, I would want to hear more about your personal journey. What sparked your passion for child development? I'm just wondering, why do we have to talk about the under 5? These are just babies. What's their value proposition that today we are connecting them to the missing link? Is it really important to focus on this period? Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Emmanuel. A very, very important question. In fact, I look at this podcast series perhaps as the most important discussion of my life. You know, I've been in academia, as you introduced me already.
Yes, Prof.
Teaching at university level for over 37 years now. So I've been teaching adults rather than babies. But you see, in my journey as an academic at that level,
yes,
there are a lot of things that I have discovered. And one of the major discoveries I have found there is that over time, the quality of our graduates has been going down.
That's very sad.
This is public knowledge, actually. It's public knowledge. I'm not saying something that people don't know out there.
Out of the blues.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, we have all seen it. I mean, as a person who stands in front of these young people, I teach, I see it. From what you can say, the old good days to these days. And this has worried me a lot. And so I've been asking myself this question: why is it happening this way? Why is it happening this way? And when I look at our own country, Zambia, it's a wealthy country.
Absolutely.
In terms of natural resources.
Very rich and wealthy.
Very rich and wealthy, indeed.
But yet we are very poor.
It's a paradox, actually.
Very complex one, for that matter.
Exactly. It is a paradox. Rich in terms of anything that you can think of. Look, we have 42 million hectares of arable land where you can literally do anything that you want in terms of agriculture and related activities. We have got high biodiversity, the wildlife, the birds out there, the mammals, and so on and so on. We've got forests.
Yeah.
We've got our minerals, our copper, the sugilite now, the precious minerals, and many, many things. I mean, the cobalt. And Zambia is a leading country in terms of production of some of these minerals.
Absolutely.
And yet we are poor. So what is it that makes us poor?
We're in water and yet we're thirsty.
Exactly. You know what you have said. This is what Bob Marley sang.
Yeah.
In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. That's perhaps how we can describe ourselves. Yeah. It is sad. We have plenty of water, plenty of wind, plenty of sunshine, plenty of everything.
That's a correct term. Plenty of everything.
Everything and everything.
Highly endowed country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we are poor. We also have good people, by the way. Zambians are very good people. However, in all this plenty of things, 60% of our population is poor. And I'm not cooking up these figures. This is government's own statistics. If we check the Zamstats website, the latest report, which is 2022.
2022,
Yeah. 60% of our population is poor. It is worse when you go outside Lusaka and the Copper Belt. You start going to the rural populations and rural provinces, where you could have more than 70 to 80% of people wallowing in poverty. Really, do we deserve that poverty?
Absolutely
I
not.
say to myself, no, we don't, for sure. Apart from poverty, there's also massive undernutrition. And this is worrying. When you look at statistics from UNICEF, Zambia, we have low consumption of protein, we have low consumption of polyunsaturated fatty acids. These are just omega-3 fatty acids, if I can use maybe a simpler term. And then also micronutrients like vitamin A, vitamin B9, selenium, iodine, zinc, very low consumption of these micronutrients. And yet, these are critical micronutrients when it comes to our development, both physical and cognitive development.
Yes.
In fact, UNICEF has given some specific statistics. If I can just mention a few. Vitamin A deficiency, for example. 54% of the children under 5 and 13% among the women of childbearing age are deficient in vitamin A. Now, these are huge numbers.
Very, very huge.
58% of the children under 5 and 30% of women of childbearing age have iron deficiency. Then the prevalence of iodine deficiency, 53% of the households, only 53% of the households in Zambia consume adequately iodized salt.
This is very worrying.
It is worrying. Now, these are figures that many of us don't pay attention to. They're just figures. I mean, they're just reported and Nobody really, I mean, many of us don't pay attention to these things. But now, the bad news, which to me is perhaps the worst news, is that 35% of the population is stunted mainly as a result of
35%.
35%.
That's very huge.
Well, Emmanuel, 1% is bad enough.
Bad enough.
1% is bad enough.
Now we have 35%.
We have 35%. These are the latest figures from UNICEF Zambia. For several decades, we were at 45%. So, we may claim, we have improved. But really,
by a drop of 5%.
Really, that's not significant. Because, as I mentioned, 1% is bad enough.
Yeah.
And of course, the implications of stunting are that it's not only stunting physically, but it's also stunting cognitively.
Cognitively.
So meaning that, the cognitive function is impaired.
That's the most dangerous thing.
So, very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
So when you have physically and cognitively impaired population, what that means is that those who fall in that category, their performance to the economy is not that great. Their contribution to the economy is not that great. They're disadvantaged. I remember a number of years ago, 2016, the then Minister of Health made a parliamentary statement at that time, talking about stunting. That time, the official figure of stunting stood at 45% in the under 5 children.
45%.
45%.
Yeah. That was 2016.
2016. Okay. And so he made a ministerial statement that 45% of our under 5 children are stunted. So meaning that translated into the population, it means 45% of the population.
Of the population,
yeah. Because these children grow up, not so.
Yes.
Yeah, they grow up, so they're part of the population.
And today they are adults.
Of course. Okay. Now, this was a ministerial statement in Parliament. And it ended there. So I asked myself this question. Did the parliamentarians get moved by the fact that 45% of the population was stunted?
My guess is no.
The answer is no. Was the minister moved by that same statement that he made?
He was just reading the statement.
He was just reading the statement. Do we understand the implications of stunting? They're very, very serious implications. Certainly, Emmanuel, our economy is not exciting.
Not at all.
No, it's not exciting. If you break it into 3 sections or sectors, we have the primary sector, where we simply produce raw materials, not so.
Yes.
We produce our copper, we produce our crops, produce our timber, and all that.
Yes.
Okay. And then there is the secondary. Okay. The secondary section or industry, where we do value addition. Okay. So that's where the processing is done and all that. So all the finished products are in that area. And then we have the tertiary, which is mainly, service, mainly trading, and maybe, the hospitality and so on.
Service industry,
Service industry. Yeah. Now, where are we as Zambians? We are at the primary and we are at the tertiary. Conspicuously, we are missing here in the middle.
That's the secondary.
That's the secondary.
Yeah.
And you see, this is where the economy thrives. If you want your economy to thrive, it is in the middle, the value addition.
Yeah.
Then it becomes exciting. Yeah, it becomes exciting. And this is where now you have a lot of job creation.
Yes.
Without the secondary industry,
the value addition.
Yes. You can't create many jobs.
No, you can't.
No. How?
Actually, you'll be laborers. For those that are coming to provide the service industry segment.
In fact, this is what it is. This is what it is. We are talking about youth unemployment, massive youth unemployment.
Yeah.
And, you know, government after government, starting from independence, there has been a lot of talking about, you know, providing jobs to the youths. I have wondered how a lot of youths can be employed if the middle is missing. And as rightly said, we depend on foreigners to come and do this middle part of it.
And create jobs for our people.
So what do our people do? We are just laborers.
Yeah.
Because we don't do it ourselves. So we become laborers in our own country. Quite obviously, that's not very good for us.
That's a sad state of affairs.
It is a sad state of affairs. And I think that as we talk about developing our economy, moving towards industrialization, we cannot move that direction unless we develop the second part of our economy, which is value addition. Now, Emmanuel, let me just finish up on this one. Our education system is not a great system. Because you see, for us to develop the skill to do value addition, we must have an education system that takes us there. Currently, our education system makes us workers. That's all.
It's not purpose-driven.
Because you see, there are objectives in education. When you look at where you begin up to where you end, there must be a purpose. Why do people go to school? People don't go to school simply to be workers.
No.
You see, when you look at the objectives, first of all, you know, there are 6 of them. First of all, when you just begin, the purpose is you must remember what the teacher taught you. So there is remembering. But you must move from remembering to the next stage, which is now understanding.
Understanding the content.
Exactly. That, oh, this operates like this because of ABC, or I'm doing this because of this and this. Okay. From there, you must now go into application. Where now you can apply the concepts that you are learning in school.
Remember.
Understand.
Then apply.
Beyond that, you go into now critical thinking, where you can now do an analysis. You can analyze issues. You can break complex things into smaller components for more and better understanding. Okay. Beyond that, you can now do evaluation. We're now at number 5. Evaluation, where you can evaluate something and make judgment and stand by it. And the ultimate is creation. Creativity, your mind, you know, you are at critical thinking level. And at that level,
that's the epitome now of education.
Absolutely. Because it is at that level where you are now able to connect things that seemingly may not even be connected. You've got dots that seemingly cannot be connected. But you're able to connect them and it makes sense. So you make nonsense, you make sense out of nonsense. Exactly.
So this is where now the part of creation comes in.
That's where the part of creation comes in.
When it seems all impossible, the dots are centered around.
Absolutely.
But your creativity now enables you to connect the dots.
Enables you to connect them. And this is how you can now innovate. Without innovation, you cannot be a wealthy country.
Absolutely not.
No. So we have to move towards that. I've always said, Emmanuel, I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm a realist.
Yes.
I speak science.
Yeah.
And without innovation, we cannot create wealth. Because true wealth creation only comes from innovation.
I agree with you.
Without that, forget, we will remain a poor country. We will depend on foreigners. And that's what it is. And that is what it shall be. We can try to move hills and mountains. But without investing in that kind of education, that takes us from remembering all the way
up to creation.
Well, we don't have much future, unfortunately. So, Emmanuel, with all these things, I told myself, there must be a missing link somewhere. There's a missing link somewhere. And hence, through my own, research, through interaction with a lot of other scientists, I've traveled the world over. Yeah. And I have come to discover that the missing link is that we have not invested properly in human capital development. And where do we begin from? I'm now answering that question.
Why the under 5?
Why the under 5?
That's a very good build-up. That's a very good build-up.
This is where it matters most. This is where it matters most. Believe it or not.
Because I was wondering, you've given us all these statistics.
Yes.
You've shown us the dynamics of economic growth and development. So I was still trying to figure out where do we fit the under 5?
Yes.
But now I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Fits in very well, not so?
Absolutely. Fits in very well. Yeah.
Apparently, this is the only time that the brain has the highest capacity.
But
to absorb things.
I want you to hold your thought.
Yes.
Just on that part. Obviously now the excitement is growing. Having been right here at the epitome of everything, to understand the dynamics, first of all, of education and also importance of human capital development, contributing towards sustainable development, that is through wealth creation.
Yes.
And obviously now we're bringing in now this concept of child development. But someone who doesn't even understand exactly what child development is, maybe we begin from there to unpack the conversation. What is early childhood development?
Well, early childhood development refers to the period in which we want to develop a young person into a person who will become a person who can contribute towards society in a great way.
Great.
And this period is generally between 0 and 8 years. But for our purposes in this podcast series, we'll restrict ourselves to 0 to 5 years.
Okay.
Because this is the most critical period, both physically and cognitively.
Cognitively, yeah.
Yes. So it's the most important period. As I mentioned, it's the time that we're building the brain architecture.
Yes.
It's the time that we are building the physical body. It's the time that really, things are happening. There is no any other phase in human development that is as critical, as important as this one.
Yeah.
And therefore, we must properly invest in this area.
Thank you very much, Prof. This is very deep.
It is.
Thinking about it and remembering how some of us were raised.
Yeah.
I think, our parents, our guardians always thought that the future was created when we become graduates. That's when we become relevant to society. But now from this conversation that we have started, to me, it seems that the complete human being, the creator, the graduate, the innovator, the change driver is built and developed between 0 to 5 years.
Yes. In fact, let me tell you something.
Yes, Prof.
According to science, 95% of our actions in adulthood can be related to the 0 to 5 years. So your experiences during that time stay on. What you do later on is really coming from your experiences during that time.
It's like an end product.
Exactly.
Okay.
By the time a child is 2 years, 2 years old, it's a baby, not so?
Yeah, a baby.
2 years old.
And don't even pay attention.
You don't even pay attention. But in terms of brain capacity, it's already at 80% that of the adult.
Wow. 80%?
2 years.
At 2 years?
Yes, exactly.
24 months old?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
The brain is at 80%.
80%.
By the time a child is 5 years, that 90%.
90%?
Yes.
Fully formed?
Fully formed. 6 years, that 95%. The remaining 5%, is over a long period up to 25 years.
It's what is spread up to where we are.
But really, your brain is complete.
At 6 years?
Of course.
95%.
So when you look at these little kids, don't think that they're just kids. This is a 2-year-old, this is a 1-year-old, this is... No. I was listening to one English teacher from India.
Yeah.
He said something very exciting. He said, parents, there's no difference between you and your children. Okay. Yeah, when you look at your 5-year-old and yourself, there's no difference. The only difference is that you landed on earth earlier than them. But in terms of the thinking capacity, you are the same level. So please do not think that these are just babies. This is the only time that you can instill a growth mindset.
Yes.
Rather than a negative mindset.
Or fixed mindset.
Exactly, a fixed mindset. Yeah, that's the correct term.
Yeah.
A fixed mindset. Okay? This is the only time that you create a graduate. You talked about, university graduate, college graduate.
Yes.
This is the time that you create a university graduate, a college graduate. You don't create a graduate when they go to university. That's way too late. It is way too late. They'll not be functional.
Yes.
Everybody needs to understand this. If you want to create junkies, this is also the time that you can create them.
Interesting perspective.
Absolutely.
Looking at both sides of the coin.
Looking at both sides of the coin. You know, today, there are these people we are calling junkies, not so.
Yes.
When I heard this terminology for the first time, I said, oh, you mean you have junkies in Zambia? But then I saw that it was a term that everybody was using. Even on news, you know, the journalists are using junkies, everybody's using junkies, the police are using junkies. I said, oh.
Even the leadership itself.
So, exactly, even our leaders are using the word junkies. So I said, oh, okay, so we do have junkies. The question is, where are the junkies coming from? Yeah? They're not falling from heaven like manna. No, they're coming from ourselves. And so we are creating them. And how are we creating them? It is the
first
from 0 to 5.
Yeah.
0 to 5.
0 to 5.
And of course, you know, mentioning the first 1,000 days, first 1,000 days is from conception up to 2 years.
Up to 2 years.
This is a very, very critical period because this is the time that the brain is growing at terrific speed. You know, every 1 second, every 1 second. You know, there's what we call synapses. Synapses are simply brain connections.
At least I remember them from my biology lessons that I took.
Yes.
Several years ago in 2008.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So so the brain cells connect through, you know, branches that we call dendrites. Okay. So they connect to each other because you know, they must form what we call neural pathways through which information passes and processing and so on and so on. So the first 1,000 days are very, very critical. So every 1 second, there's over 1 million synapses.
Over 1 million?
Over 1 million, just in 1 second.
1 second?
Yes, during this time.
That's from conception to 2 years?
To 2 years.
Yeah.
So a very, very critical period. So we all must be aware how critical this period is. This is the time that we are building the real human being in terms of human capacity, the brain capacity. This is the time. I don't want to go into a lot of details because we will talk about this when we come to other issues like nutrition and so on and so on. But really, it's the time that we build critical thinkers. This is the time. People don't become critical thinkers later on in life.
No.
We miss it at this point. We are done.
We're done. It's over.
It's over.
There's no redemption.
Unfortunately.
We can't even sing the Bob Marley song, Redemption song.
We miss it here. We have missed it.
Yeah. Now, Prof, I think this is getting more exciting as you are unpacking your wisdom and knowledge with regards to childhood development. So I now understand why we have to talk about the under 5 children.
Indeed.
From this introduction, okay, you've taken us step by step. You've given us, first of all, the bigger picture.
Yes.
Of where, as human beings, we are supposed to operate from optimally. And obviously, we've looked at the ideal and versus the reality. And then now you've brought in the concept of the missing link.
Yeah.
Which is inadequate, maybe to some extent, lack of investment in early childhood development.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you this critical question. Why is early childhood period so crucial for a child's future development and well-being? I know you've touched on it, but obviously now to build the context on why early childhood period is very crucial for a child's future development and well-being. Not only them, but their community and as a country at large.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because this is the time that I've mentioned the cognitive development.
Yes.
Okay. So by that, I mean, this is the time that they must build the understanding, the reasoning, the thinking, problem solving, and so on. That's cognitive development. Okay. And also, it's the time that they grow physically. Time that that they must learn to walk. They must learn. They must learn to run. They must learn to grasp things. They must learn to draw things. So those skills, which you can divide into gross and fine motor skills. Okay, so that's the time. Not only that, also socially, it's the time that they must build, that skill as well. Just to interact with others and get to know that things go this way. So that social development is only done during this time. If they don't develop socially, then it becomes a big problem in the future. It's also the time that they also grow emotionally. How do they react to things? This is the time. So really, this is the time that you are building them for the future of the society. It's the time that they learn to understand. In fact, that they need to work hard. If they don't work hard, they'll be poor. And by the way, one thing that I should mention here,
yes, please,
is that poverty can be passed on from generation to generation.
It's like an inheritance.
It's like it's like an inheritance. Like what we talk about in genetics.
Genetics, yes.
But poverty can be passed on from generation to generation. So if you don't take care of the children during this time, from these 4 angles I've talked about: physical development, cognitive development, social development, emotional development, there's trouble.
Big trouble.
Big trouble.
In my mother's tongue, they would say it, mapenzi maningi.
Mapenzi maningi. Maningi trouble.
Maningi trouble.
The late Dennis Liwewe used to say, we are in maningi trouble.
Maningi trouble.
It means that Zambia is trailing, and the opponents are really putting more pressure.
More pressure.
Yes.
And this can be translated to childhood development.
Absolutely. Now, so yes.
Now let us look at the other key factors when it comes to child development. Obviously, you are breaking it down very well, but now there is me who is a young parent. I have my daughter who is 3 years old. I have my son who is now, in a few days' time, is going to be turning 9 months old. So what are some of the key developmental domains that children progress through during early childhood? I would want to understand so that I can pay attention to those domains as I am raising, these young adults.
Yes, I think those are the ones that I have already mentioned. Those domains.
Yes.
Which include the physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and also language development. Because language development is also very, very, very important, because this is what makes us begin interacting. It is through language, you begin talking. So generally those are the domains.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So Professor, building up on our earlier conversation, how important is the role of caregivers, parents and educators in supporting healthy early childhood development?
Yes, these are very important people in the life of a child, particularly that period that we are referring to. Caregivers, perhaps mainly those people that we call our domestic workers who take care of our children. These are critical people. And therefore, it is important that when you are choosing who is going to be a caregiver to your child, you choose carefully because they are the ones who are interacting with the child most of the time, especially before they go to preschool. Those are the ones. So between you and the parents, between you as parents and the
caregivers,
there's a lot of interaction with your child or children. Okay, so they play with the children. They're the ones who save the children, in whatever the children want. They are the ones who, even in terms of language development, they teach the child what they are going to, what they are going to say and all that. So, very, very critical people, very, very critical people. And many times, Emmanuel, when you look at sometimes the way these caregivers are treated, not so well, and yet they are taking care of your child. Remember that your child's future depends on this caregiver. So you better treat them well. How your child grows, how your child performs in future is very much dependent on this caregiver.
The caregivers.
Then you, the parents, you are the first teachers.
Yes.
Because before you take your child, let us assume you're going to take your child to preschool at the age of 3 in our system here. So those first few years, the child is with you and the caregiver. Of course, let us assume both of you are working as parents.
As it is the case today.
As it is the case today. Most parents are working. So you leave that child in the hands of the caregiver. You come back, you take over. So how you interact with the child matters. How you show the love, just that relationship, because these are the things that add to the development of the brain. Remember, I talked about the first 1,000 days when there's a lot of multiplication of the cells, as well as
the brain neurons.
Yes, the neurons.
Yes.
But as well as attaching to each other, those brain connections, which you call synapses.
Synapses, yeah.
The kind of environment that you provide is adding to all that. And this is very important because if those connections don't take place at the pace at the pace that is conducive, then there's an impairment in the brain development, and obviously you don't want that. So very, very important. And so when the child goes to school now, preschool, we now have the teachers whom we are calling educators. Again, it's another phase because you see the brain is still developing. Of course, at 3 years things have slowed down a little bit, but it is still developing at a very fast rate. And so the educators at that level become critically important. How the teachers are interacting with your children is critical. They are defining the future of these children. They're defining the future. Unfortunately, if you look at it, Emmanuel, in our situation, and again, it is public knowledge. I'm not saying things that people don't know. When you look at generally, at that level, the educators, the teachers, whom do we send to go and do early childhood education?
Those that failed.
Unfortunately, and this is sad. This is sad. That's the area where we're supposed to have high flyers. High flyers. You know what? Let me share this with you.
Yes, Prof.
In other countries, especially outside Africa, at the preschool level, first of all, you have a maximum of 25 children.
Per class.
Per class. You have 3 teachers, 2 to 3 teachers.
Per class.
In some countries, 2 teachers. In some countries, 3 teachers.
Attending to 25.
Attending to 25.
Pupils.
Exactly. And these are people who, in some countries, these are PhDs.
Yeah.
You get my point?
Yeah.
You also have 3 PhDs attending to these little kids.
What we call as children, babies.
Children, exactly. That's what it is. That is how serious educators, our friends take educators, because they are defining the future of these children, what they will be, what they will contribute to the development of their society, their economy. Okay? In some countries, you have to have a master's degree for you to teach at that level. But here we do it the other way. And yet we know this is the most critical. I think from what I've shared so far, we should all understand this is the most critical period. Yeah. You are defining the future of your nation.
Yes.
This is the time.
Yeah. Very interesting conversation. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is mind provoking, more especially looking at the collaboration between, first of all, the parents and the caregivers.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned, we just look at these people to be ordinary people. I mean, she's just a maid.
Yes, in fact, we say she's just a maid.
She's just a maid.
Yeah.
Not very important people.
Exactly.
But now looking at this phase of child development, from the time that they are conceived, but most importantly, usually would have these people when our babies have been delivered.
Yes.
And these are the people that we entrust with our children.
Yes.
But from how you've broken it down, how you've explained it, I think my perception towards these people has totally shifted. And obviously now as parents, we need to look at these people as key development partners.
These are very key, believe it or not.
Yeah.
These are very key. And I'm glad you are using, the terminology development partners.
Yes.
Yes. Because they're defining the future of your child.
Yes.
Yes. And when you look at our population, as I mentioned already, nothing is really exciting.
Yes.
In our population, in terms of our economy. And when you think through, you begin relating that, possibly because from where we are coming, generally all of us, where we're coming from, we didn't have a very good time between 0 and 5.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you talk to many people, any one of us, just talk to any one of us during our early years. How were we treated?
Yeah.
And so we were defined at that time. And that's the time also, if you cow your child, then the child remains cowed for the rest of their time. They will not come out and speak. If at that time you don't want them to ask questions, then that's it for the rest of their life.
You don't want them to interact with others or play or do whatever.
That's it. So they'll go to college and even university and struggle and finish.
It's a pattern that has been created.
Yeah, exactly.
It becomes a culture.
Yes. Yes. And this is why, I told you earlier on that I've been concerned and asking myself a lot of questions. And one of the major questions is that why is the quality of our graduates going down? Yeah, I've seen it all. So I think things at that level are not going well. Because remember, college and university students come from secondary school.
Yes.
But then also secondary schools are fed from primary schools.
Primary schools.
Yes.
So it's the entire value chain.
It's the entire education value chain.
Yeah.
Because primary schools are also now being fed from
Early
preschool.
Preschool.
Yes. Of course, I know that preschool is not yet everywhere in our country.
Yeah.
But in those areas where there's preschool, primary schools are coming from. Primary school pupils are coming from preschool.
Preschool, yeah.
And therefore, when you look at this whole value chain, you have to invest properly, especially at the preschool level, because that forms the foundation.
Yeah.
You will not do any good by investing heavily at university and college level and leave out the earlier stages of you are
child
not
development.
doing anything.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. You graduate students quite okay.
Yes.
But they will not be great in terms of their performance. That's the way things are. Because we didn't build them right from the beginning.
So they can become creators.
Yeah. Remember, foundation. It's like you are building a house.
A house, yes.
Yeah. If your foundation is not good, what happens? Your house will collapse. Exactly. And this is exactly what we're talking about. So I have realized in my journey that this early childhood development is the most critical stage.
Yes.
Nothing is more critical than that. I'm not saying that we should not invest in these other as a person goes. It is throughout. You have to invest at every level. But what I'm emphasizing is that there should be a lot of emphasis at the foundation level.
Yeah.
Just as the way we concentrate when we're building a house.
Building houses. Yes.
We make sure that we have a proper foundation. That is what we are doing here.
I mean, after all, a huge chunk of investment, whenever we're investing in these housing projects, goes in the ground.
Absolutely.
The foundation. Up to the setup level.
Yes.
Because you're guaranteed that when the foundation is built on a solid rock, the house will withstand whatsoever challenges, storm, different kind of weather.
Anything. It will
simply put, anything.
Exactly.
And now I'm beginning to see the connection of us investing heavily in early childhood development.
Yes.
So that the future is secured.
Yeah. And that's how we shall become a rich nation, by the way. If we want to be rich. I mean, we admire rich countries, don't we?
I mean, we do. I mean, we're always giving examples of America, China, Russia, Singapore, India, to mention just a few.
We admire them. Yes. But what did they do? And in fact, in most of these countries, especially European countries and so on, what do they have on the ground compared to what we have in terms of natural resources?
Just human capital.
On the ground, they've got little. The only thing they have is the human beings.
Human beings, yes.
They have properly invested in that area. And that's all. You invest in that area, you control everything.
And this is what they're doing. Controlling us who are highly endowed with natural resources.
Absolutely. So, when you look at these little ones, the children, please treat them as the most important resource.
Absolutely.
Because that is investment in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when we talk to the young people that you are the future leaders, let's not just say that statement as a political statement. We should mean it. Yeah, we should mean it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's why we need to shift the narrative from being future leaders to being leaders of today.
Leaders of today.
Yeah, because from what you've described, from 0 to 5, or say maybe the first 1,000 days, those are my stages of formation.
Yes.
And at that point, I am being programmed to be the person that I'm supposed to be several years down the line.
Absolutely.
So meaning that the actual creation, the actual formation, the actual development happens between that period.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm glad you are using the word programmed.
Yes.
In fact, we call this phase the programming phase.
Programming phase.
This is the programming phase.
Yes.
And I mentioned earlier, 95% of our actions when we're adults come from that stage. So, if you see people throwing garbage everywhere, you see people misbehaving on the roads, we see a lot of misbehavior on the roads, where vehicles can park, minibuses, and even not only minibuses, but everyone.
Someone well suited, dressed up nicely.
Exactly.
They
can do
educated.
Yes. They just
but still indulge in unaccepted social behaviors.
Can you imagine? they park on the road inconveniencing other people, and they get they start talking to somebody on phone.
And we still grab their garbage from the car, throw it off the window.
Exactly. We see all these things. We see, a lot of accidents happening on our roads, road carnage, and so on. Where is this behavior coming from? It hasn't fallen from heaven like manna.
No.
It's coming from that stage. I would like people to appreciate these things.
Yes.
So when you see people misbehaving, generally, I think, again, Emmanuel, we know that our attitude generally as Zambians, not so good.
Not at all.
It's public knowledge, not so.
We complain about it anyway.
And we complain every day.
Every day.
Oh, this attitude.
We need to change our minds. No, we need a mindset shift. Our attitude. No. So on and so forth.
The attitude will only change once we begin from there.
Inception.
Believe it or not.
Project management.
Absolutely.
Inception.
You don't do it there, you are done. You are done. Generally speaking, you are done. And this is where we are.
Very unfortunate.
So it is an investment whose results don't come today, unfortunately. So don't say that.
Or in the next 5 years.
Or in the next 5 years. Our political leaders always say that, no, look, we want to, in the 5 years or 10 years that we shall be here, we want to do ABC, great things. And we are told of a lot of good things that they want to do. But then they don't look at the human capacity. Who is going to do those things? We don't have those human beings who can do those good things that they're talking about.
Now, please carry on.
Yes.
Before I interrupt your thoughts.
So, investing there, you only begin seeing results probably in the next 40 years or something like that. So you have to look at least 1 to 2 generations.
1 to 2 generations.
Yes. So don't think that this is an investment which will immediately start paying you off.
No, like tomorrow we just wake up and say, Professor Yambayamba said we need to invest in early childhood education. You pump in $100 million and a year from now you expect to see results. No, because remember that a human being takes not less than 25 years before they mature. By the time they start giving you real products, they're somewhere around 35, 40 years. So we have to put those things. But look, Zambia is here not just today. No, it will be there for as long as the world exists. Yes.
Even if things change in the future, we don't know politically. You know,
Yes.
you never know. But this space today, which we call Zambia, it will remain here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Regardless who comes in.
Regardless who comes in, it will be there. And therefore, we want to invest properly to make sure that this space that we call Zambia develops to a level that we ourselves desire. You can't talk about industrialization without the human capacity.
Yes.
It's not possible. Those are just statements. Yeah.
So, Prof, as we zero down the conversation, I mean, it's exciting. We could go on and on and on.
Yes.
I feel like right now I'm seated, attending a public lecture on how as a parent, as a responsible citizen, I need to play a critical role in ensuring that we sustain our future. And I like the point that you've raised that regardless who comes, whether it's politics, whatsoever leadership that comes in, this space that we call Zambia will still remain Zambia.
Correct.
So meaning that ours, now that we're privileged to have this information that we know now, which we wish we knew several years ago, is to create a legacy that one day, wherever we will be, if it's above the skies, we'll look down and say, truly, we changed the narrative. We found the missing link and we created that bridge which connected the investment in early childhood development towards sustainable development, towards giving our educational system the purpose that it desires to generate creators and innovators who are now adding value to these resources. And I hope that these resources will still be available at the time when our kids now will grow up to take up the mantle. Yeah. Now, in conclusion, we've looked at both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
The ideal versus the reality.
Yeah.
So, what strategies or practices would you recommend for promoting optimal early childhood development and creating nurturing environments for young children?
I think, first of all, at the parental level,
Yes.
okay, because remember that we start from homes.
Yes.
Okay, before we go to school, we start from home. At that level, good nutrition is important. I know we shall be talking about nutrition a bit later on.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is one area that we must invest in because without good nutrition, the brain as well as the physical body will not develop properly. But we'll delve into that in more detail later on. So that's at the parental level. The other thing is that when the children go to preschool, government should prioritize that early childhood education. So there must be policies to support early childhood education. I mean, we have no choice because this is the time that we want to build the future.
Yes.
This is the time that we want to create college and university graduates.
Yeah.
This is the time that we want to see that we have a responsible, child, a responsible human being who grow up with a good attitude, growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. This is the time. So really, this is the time for everything, and therefore, government must come up with policies to support all these things. Parents must ensure that they take care of their children properly. They they love them. Yeah, they love them. And we'll be talking about parenting a little bit later on as we go, with our podcast series. We'll be talking about parenting. Yeah, but parents are critical. The caregivers are critical. Yeah. You want your child to develop in all the domains, the physical, the cognitive, social, emotional, and language. You want the child to develop in all those areas. And so, as parents, you are critical. The caregivers are critical. The educators are critical. Government is critical in all these areas. So, let us look at the child, and in particular, the 0 to 5 as the most critical stage. This is the only time that your child can develop the brain fully.
Fully, yes.
This is the only time. Unfortunately, beyond that, it closes off. Beyond that. So if there are gaps that remain, the gaps remain forever.
Forever.
That's the West news, eh? That's the West.
Very West news.
Exactly.
And very disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
That's the very, very bad news that I can give you. Your child beyond 5, if they haven't been, they haven't been shaped properly at that stage, it's almost impossible to shape them properly later on. It's like a tree, as people say. And we have all these analogies. People talk about these things.
Yeah.
But I don't know why we don't want to do the same things to ourselves. People will tell you that, well, if you want to shape a tree, you want the tree to grow straight, do that when it is still a small tree.
A small tree, yeah.
When it is young. Because when it grows, you can't.
You can't.
That's it.
It becomes very impossible.
It becomes impossible. So let us not be surprised, Emmanuel.
Yes.
Let us not be surprised when we see all the things that are going on, that are happening around us, in our economy, in our country. Let's not be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Including issues of corruption. Corruption does not just come when you go into public office. No.
When you're exposed to resources.
No. It doesn't happen that way. It is coming from somewhere very far. So let us not be surprised when we see all the negatives, why we are not able to even process our own
raw materials, natural resources.
Yeah. Let's not be surprised. Yeah. And let us not even think that we can now do it. No, we can't. That's the truth.
We're not yet there.
Because we're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can send people for training. And by the way, I'm not saying that let's stop sending people for training because of what I'm saying. No. Let's stop. No, I'm not saying that. We continue doing this, except that we will not reach there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be moving at snail's pace.
Exactly. So it takes time and takes a lot of resources. It takes good thinking.
Yeah.
To reach where we want to be. Yeah.
And obviously the primary factor is investing
in early childhood development. So you nurture those little minds to shape the future. Nurture those little minds to shape the future.
So my key takeaway is nurture those little minds to shape the future.
Absolutely.
Professor Yamba, what else should we look forward to in this groundbreaking podcast series of childhood development? I know this was just the introduction.
Yes.
Bringing viewers and listeners up to speed on this conversation when it comes to investing in early childhood education. So what do we have in stock Others will be thinking maybe it was just a once-off podcast. Yeah, but obviously we need to give them the assurance that more is coming.
More is coming, and a lot is coming. And possibly for the next 1 year, we shall be together. There are a lot of things that we shall be talking about. We'll be talking about the importance of nutrition in early childhood development. We shall be talking about parenting. We shall be talking about the importance of play. We shall be talking about a lot of things that affect early childhood development. And we are spending time on this and giving out this information freely because we love this country.
And we care for the future.
And we care for the future. We care for the future. So stay with us, and much more is coming. And we'll bring in other experts as well, who give us other perspectives on some of the topics that we have prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The conversation must be practical and engaging.
Absolutely. Practical and engaging. So we are not in a class.
Yes.
Yeah, where I'm teaching students and the math
physiology,
exams
anatomy,
and so on. No, but we are sharing information that is practical, information that is useful to this nation, information that will liberate.
Yeah, I love the term, liberate.
Liberate. We need to be liberated.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
liberated from our economic, social, and political incarceration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, most of us are incarcerated.
Yes.
Yeah. The mind. And I mean, today, Emmanuel, there are a lot of people, I think, who have realized when you read social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of posting on a lot of issues, but pointing to the fact that we're not doing well.
Yes.
We are incarcerated.
Yes.
Yeah, we are certainly not doing well. There's a lot of posting of things, sharing a lot of information, and I like it. But what we are missing is what we are discussing now.
This conversation.
Yes, this conversation.
And
this is what is missing.
And I pray that this conversation will be a gateway towards unlocking completely Zambia's untapped potential.
It must be. It must be. Yeah. It must be. So, yeah. So, I mean, we want to have great people who can do great things.
Yeah.
Let us not simply adopt. Today there are technologies. We are in the AI,
artificial intelligence,
AI,
machine learning,
and so on.
Programming, so on and so forth.
So perhaps we are at a time when we are just confused. Yeah, we're just confused. But we are confused because of what we are discussing, because we've not invested properly in human capital development.
If we did, would have been actually one of the pioneers or initiators of these groundbreaking technologies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Professor Yamba, it's been a pleasure having you on our grand opening of this exciting, engaging, but most importantly, future-driven podcast conversation where we are focusing on investing in our most precious resource, not the copper, not the gold, not the mukula, but our children, which are the greatest formation of human capital development. Absolutely. I was your host for today's conversation, Emmanuel Chisalo, and please remember to like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, drop us a comment. Encourage us. Share your feedback, share your thoughts, share your perspective. Because this conversation is not only limited to the experts, but even you as a custodian of these children that we're talking about. So let us together as one, participate. Let it be a collaborative movement as we are preparing for the future, which maybe for some of us will be there, for some of us will not be there. But that should not discourage us, but we need to prepare the future of our children and their children. Until next time, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Professor Yamba Yamba. Have a good night.